Uniforms were made to unify. A diverse group of people beneath a single sky bring truth to all the lies that many isms tried to foster and expose division as an imposter, bar the bellowings of bullies who attack those that have every right to learn yet feel like they don't because they are different, yet so much the same. Scars to our very similar pain. See, uniforms are a symbol of resistance, a resistance to all forms of discrimination, a torch that illuminates the weaknesses of a nation with a failed academic system, a system that systematically oppresses its blessings by building blocks instead of bridges. See, Sarah seeks serenity inside the walls of her classroom, but is surrounded by doom. Instead, she silences the screams that crescendo in her head and swallows her sin to allow her enemies to win, and they do. They dance to the tune of her tears and anesu. Anosuruwara kutadza kufara pamwe chete nekushaya tarisiro yekushanda with dignity, because the integrity that is supposed to be his as well is foreign in his own world. So he dives past the borders, contemplating a migration to heaven before his time. You see, a lack of uniforms has always been a crime, but corruption keeps glorifying the guilty. But I hope to see a world that isn't fascinated by books that bleed, a world that allows everyone to read between the lines that divide and multiply, communities that are founded on the foundations of love, communities that will stand because of the strength of its sands. Banshee.
Hello viewers, my name is Nombulelo Mazinki and thank you for tuning in. Welcome to our exciting program, Amplifying Voices, where we want to inspire change, diversity and equality in our communities. In this segment, I have 3 students who will introduce themselves, starting with you.
Hi everyone, my name is Shami Sombada and I'm a student by Catholic University, and I'm also working with girls as an order advocate.
Thank you, Shami.
Hi everyone, my name is Kudzai Kanyere, former MSU student and an upcoming human rights advocate.
Thank you, Kudzai.
Good day everyone, my name is Nicholas Vela, a student at the University of Zimbabwe.
Thank you, Nick. Okay, so introductions having been made, I'm going to start with you, Kudzai. Can you please share with us your experience as a Rainbow Scholar?
Well, I think I'll just focus on mainly my negative experiences, particularly those that I experienced during my first year at MSU. I think what stood out the most for me were the subtle, hostile comments that I got that kind of formed the hostility of the whole environment. So you know how when you're walking into a room and people just look and stare and then maybe look at each other and laugh, or you can really tell that these people are talking about me, and already, you know, that makes one feel uncomfortable and unsafe in a classroom environment. And then I also really struggled to make friends because of those nuances where there's that you're not sure whether people like you or not, or whether you're safe or not, or what people think of you. Based on how they look at you, how they stare, how they look away, or how they just avoid group work with you. I mean, it's really the basic things. Unfortunately, I fell into a trap and I started really smoking too much, and that affected how I participated in class. I had no confidence. I could barely speak to anyone, or even the lecturers, because I was also afraid that, you know, they would have negative thoughts and comments about how I present.
Thank you so much, Kudzai, for sharing with us your experience. So I'll go to Shamiso. Can you please give us and highlight in your understanding of what are some of the factors that are perpetuating discrimination against Rainbow Scholars on campus?
All right, thank you. I think one of the main factors perpetuating the discrimination against rainbow scholars on campus is people genuinely do not even understand how this rainbow scholar identity works. So I think it's due to lack of understanding and education about this that then perpetuate the prejudice of the rainbow scholars. And another thing would be maybe the legal system, because there's really no policies that protects the rainbow scholars against discrimination and stigma, so that leaves them very vulnerable to attacks and bullying and a lot of negative things on campus. And also another thing would be lack of lack of specific resources to support the rainbow scholars at campus, because I think they would need a safe space to vent, like sensitized counselors and clinics. And that's a really huge issue because it then affects their access to health services. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shamiso, for sharing such an insightful contribution. Nicholas, given the experiences, how have these affected your academic and social life as a rainbow scholar?
Thank you for that question. I think entirely to begin with, the idea of being a rainbow scholar is something that you can never get used to overnight. It's like a gradual process of getting into the shoes of acknowledging and accepting yourself as you are. And I feel like when you exist in an environment that is filled with over 15, 20,000 people who view who you are, who you identify as differently, and most of them being very discriminative, as KD and Shamis has been saying, I think it brings you back to the drawing board and you keep on re-evaluating where you stand as an individual. In as much as you wake up in the mirror and you look at yourself and you're like, yes, I've made certain steps in the positive direction, when a negative comment is passed around, it brings you back to square one. So I feel like with these various experiences, talking about discrimination has been topical from the moment the discussion started. I feel like discrimination draws us back. You do not have a sense of self. You lose who you are as an individual because you're trying to find your mark. You're trying to find where you fit into the society where you're not traditionally, culturally, or socially accepted, but there isn't really that position. I feel like there's also so low self-esteem. You're there in a position where you really know what you want to say, you're comfortable and you're confident enough, but then when people are there to shun you and pull you down because you are not entirely what is culturally or what they are normally, what they call or claim normal, you tend to not want to speak up about how you feel or how you view the world in general. I feel like the various discrimination and stigma, it also challenges the way you acquire your education. KD shared the experience about how you start smoking, you indulge in drug abuse, you may start drinking, you're absconding lectures, because generally as an individual, you are worried about how people are going to make you feel in that environment that you're trying to learn, and you're trying to gather information, but someone is passing in a very hurtful comment about you that's going to hurt even your mental health itself, that's going to draw you into depression, maybe suicidal thoughts. You know, the negative externalities are really extreme and they're really a lot, and no one really talks about how it makes a person feel generally in a spectrum or in a society, because it's generally that you are just not accepted, no one wants you, so what you go through is entirely because you chose to be what you are or who you identify as, where ideally it's really not a decision of choice but how you were born.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick. That's really insightful, and I think the world really needed to hear that. So, Kudzai, being as a program to assist Rainbow students, right? How has the Munu Munu Scholarship created an inclusive academic environment for Rainbow scholars?
Okay, thank you for that. I think there's no doubt that rainbow scholars struggle, particularly financially, especially, you know, when you're sent away from home or when your parents are not supportive, or just when your family is struggling financially. And getting just general scholarships, it's a tall order for rainbow scholars. So I think the Munu Munu scholarship is a lifesaver. And I say this as a recipient of the scholarship. It literally saved my life. I was in my third year and I knew I was at a point where I could not continue with school. I have so many opinions that I would like to share with the world, but at that point I knew without that piece of paper, without that degree, I cannot express myself, I cannot share my views and ultimately help to change the world. But getting the Munu scholarship was that point where my life literally changed, and even my work experience also changed, because I also got an opportunity to work at an organization that supports rainbow scholars. So it really helped me to kind of redirect myself and find myself. And I mean, it was also something that my parents were like, okay, we didn't know that this existed for people like you, because they were also, struggling. So I think the Munu scholarship is something that, really saves lives and should continue. And hopefully, we could get more even for masters and, bigger degrees and postgraduate degrees, etc.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for sharing your experiences. I think the world has known that what we feel every day on campus, all the experiences that you have shared with us, some of the discrimination that leads to mental health issues and suicidal thoughts. So basically, it is our duty as society to inspire change, diversity and equality, and ensure that rainbow scholars are given a fair chance to education, because everyone deserves to be free, everyone deserves to be free to express who they are and what they want. So we are going to take a short break, and don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon. Thank you. Welcome back. We are still inspiring change, diversity, and equality. Our program is Amplifying Voices. So here, we are going to dig deep into the experiences that rainbow scholars have gone through on campus. I'm going to start with you, Nick.
Thank you so much, Nambu, for the opportunity. I think for me, it comes down to being socially different, where you live in a society where a man is not supposed to cry. A man is not supposed to wear bright colors. A man is not supposed to get their hair done, or they have piercings, or generally just act in a way that is not traditionally accepted by many. It comes down to the way you behave, the way you act according to the gender stereotype that is within our surroundings and where we come from. And unfortunately, I defy all those social constructs. And that has become a major barrier for me in terms of education. But unfortunately, or fortunately, was able to channel it in the positive, but which is not an ability that most rainbow students can. I feel like as I'm representing rainbow students who are feminine presenting, even though who are born men, I feel like most of the challenges are discrimination. You go through many issues where you're now worried about even using a restroom itself. You cannot go into a bathroom full of boys because you're afraid of what could negatively happen to you. Are they going to say things? Are they going to try and walk in on you while you're using the restroom? Or are they going to try and correctively rape you? You never know what can be going on in a person's head. And that has become one of the major concerns and the major worries of many rainbow identifying students. I feel like also, secondly, it comes down to what people say to you, whether it is to your face or behind your back. Many universities and many schools have lost empowering leaders, have lost amazing engineers, world-renowned doctors, mainly because they are rainbow identifying. I feel like so much potential is lost in that scope because of the discrimination and the stigma. I feel like, me personally, it always comes down to what people say. And in as much as I've done the self-work and I look at myself every day and I tell myself that what people say doesn't matter, it always comes to those hurtful words that make me try and reevaluate who I stand as an individual. It comes down to a comment on my dressing, a comment on the way that maybe I walk, the way I talk, or even if I have a contribution in class, I feel like I should hold back because of what people are going to say. I also feel like sometimes I cannot go and ask, be it a lecturer or even someone, for help, because I don't know how they're going to accept me or how they're going to acknowledge my existence in their vicinity. I don't know how they're going to react to me coming to ask for assistance, because I feel like people perceive a person in different lights. So in as much as I might come to you in a very innocent manner, you might take it in the wrong light, or a person might feel like you are being invasive of their space, or be it whatever. But I feel like in wherever we exist, rainbow students face various challenges, and be it bullying, physically, verbally, it remains one of the most prominent reasons why most rainbow students try by all means to remain hidden, remain unnoticed, remain unrecognized, because no matter what we might do, something always brings us to the limelight, and that limelight might not always be for the best reasons. Issues of bullying, issues of corrective rape, issues of discriminative stereotypes, issues of depression, you name it, many of those cases remain topical in our various existence because these problems are not being mitigated and people are not trying to understand where we stand as an individual or where we are going to as an individual. Because at the end of the day, I'm just a normal person who's trying to acquire education, not trying to stand out. But then who I am is now making it seem as if I'm trying to look for attention, or I'm making various choices that are not in as much for the best of my existence as an individual. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Nick. That's very insightful. You know, someone can just judge you from the
Yes.
way that you look. They haven't even had your ideas or perspectives, you know, even in class or through research. Do you have specific comments that you have got from, let's say, other students or people around from campus that are still in your head that have really affected you?
I feel like one. I feel like there are many words.
Okay,
Honestly,
you can just mention a few.
One that really hurts is the Shona derogative word,
Okay.
ngochani.
Okay.
That word, I do not want to lie, whether you're standing on a pedestal or whether you're on top of Mount Everest, you'll come down falling, crashing on your face. That is a word that no matter how much you try and normalize it, it can never be normal. You hear bakers in. Yes,
Oh.
yes. I don't know how creative people can be, but you realize that yes, creativity exists. But
Okay.
yeah, those are some of the words that you hear. Hansi, dear sir, ma'am.
Oh.
He or she, mukoskana, you know,
Okay.
those are some of the words that we have to normalize,
Okay.
even though they are very hurtful, and even when you get home, you behave like you're happy, but when you sit down and you're contemplating, you be like, why am I like this? And it's something that I always ask people that are very discriminative, that if it was so much of a choice to be the person that I identify as, why would I choose to be me? Why would I choose the hard way down life? Why would I just not choose to wake up and be like, hey girl, I like you, and I'll start dating a girl? I feel like that is something, a very subjective side to life that people do not choose to look at. That if it was so much of a choice, why would someone instinctively make a choice that makes their life, their whole existence so much harder? Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
KD, so I'll move to you. Can you please give us an insight of your experience that you had before you acquired the scholarship, and also just to give the experience that you had after the scholarship, and also what made you qualify for that scholarship, because maybe we might have some viewers that would be interested. You can also as well mention who offered you the scholarship as well, so you can zero in on that.
Okay. So I think I'll start a little later. I'll start around mid 2019. My dad lost his job. My mom already was not working, so they had a little farm that they were really investing in, and things did not work out. And this is where most of my fees came from, and also for my siblings. So mid 2019, I think that was the second semester, around June, July. My dad called and he said, you may have to, stop school for a bit so that we figure out these funds. In that moment, you know how these sound like really simple things, but we do get to points where you are at the end. This is the most bottom of the bottom, if that exists. And I talked to a friend of mine, I was staying in Blawayo then. I spoke to a friend of mine, and then she said, are you not studying humanities? And I said, yes. And she was like, there's this scholarship that I saw. You could try to apply. So as soon as she sent it to me, I applied immediately because I was hoping to be the first applicant, in the hope that, they first see my name and they always think about my name, the first person who applied for this scholarship. And then immediately after applying, I think I got a response about 7 days later. It should have been a week. And then it was inviting me to an interview. And then I pointed out that I was in Blawai, and they said it was okay. We could do it. We could do it virtually. So we had that interview virtually, and well, they really asked the basic questions about my passion, my interest, and where I'd want to see the world, or the light in which I'd want to see the world. And I think that is what stood out the most, because I always speak about fighting for marginalized communities and trying to help people who are usually put, in the margins and the peripheries. So from there, while I wasn't sure whether I had the scholarship or not, I was really confident after the call. And then a little later, I got an email that I got the scholarship. So fortunately, I was going into my third year. The scholarship was for 2020. I was going into my third year, which was my internship year, and I got an opportunity to work at GALS, which is also the same organization that offered me the scholarship. So working at GALS opened my eyes, because it was the work that I'd spoken about during the interview, and was the work that I am passionate about. It's all about defending human rights, ensuring that everyone has an opportunity to live in a just society without being discriminated for any reason. So that experience, that 1 year experience, was really big for me, because it opened my eyes. It kind of directed even my focus, because initially I thought I just wanted to do advocacy for women in sport, and then somewhere along the way I realized that it doesn't end there. It's a bigger picture. It's something that that more can be done in that regard. So that also really sort of strengthened the foundation of my passion in human rights. And it also meant to me that I could really diversify and work harder and really be a human rights defender, because at GALS there's so many people who inspire you to be a better person yourself, and also to be a better person to other people. So that's how it worked out for me. And after getting the scholarship, as an intern, I managed to save. I saved a lot, maybe a bit too much. I barely had fun in 2020, because I was constantly trying to just save every little thing that I had, and I was saving for my final year, which was a great year. And here I am now with my degree.
Wow. It's so inspiring to hear your story, and to understand and let the world know that we are still conquering, and we have hope, and grateful for such initiatives that we have, that understand us, to just understand that our voice is being heard by somebody. So, we are really on the right track. So I'm going to move on to Shani. Yeah.
Or unfortunately for me, I didn't quite have a queer childhood, because I didn't choose to embrace myself until I was in high school.
Oh.
But it was hard, because coming from an African environment where a lot is expected of me, I was supposed to have been married. Like, I went for this event last week in my rural. It was so hectic, because everyone was expecting me to have been married by now.
Oh.
And it was a whole conversation of how you're not married, you need prayers, and other people were trying to pray the gay away. It's really hard being a rainbow and in this conservative environment. Even at school, my school is very religious, like super religious, and being a rainbow is something that is demonized. So you tend to face a lot of discrimination from your peers, the staff. It's really something that's affecting everyone's mental health, because you don't have anyone to confront and talk to about, because first, there's no department that is specifically for people like me at school, where I can freely talk about who I am and just say my experiences and just, vent. There's nothing like that. Even when it comes to clinics, I really can't go to a lecturer and complain about, maybe I had a fight with my partner who is also a girl. It's something that is unspeakable. So we tend to suffer a lot from depression, because we really don't have anywhere to vent to. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Shami. Can you share more light on how maybe I heard you mentioning that you had gone to the rural. Was it a holiday?
It was a memorial event.
Oh, it was a memorial event. And how is it the setup at home?
It's really sad, because people are still hang on to their misconception of what the rainbow people are, and having to unprogram people and start educating them of what's really on the ground, of how same-sex can actually produce good families is really hard. So it got to a point where a sangoma was then sick, and I was then told to, you know what, you have to pray the gay away because this is unnatural, and having to navigate through that and still be able to keep my mental health intact is really hard.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the insightful contribution, Shami. We are still inspiring change, diversity, and equality. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing your insightful experiences that you are going through. We have had your pain that you have been going through as a Rainbow Scholar. But however, I'm glad that you have conquered and you have finished school. So that is the message on its own, that we are going to inspire other students that it can be done. But however, it is our role as society to ensure that we give academic freedom to Rainbow Scholars. Till next time, this is the end of our episode.